Yeah, I love a Parkcaster. I've built three of them. Um, I really enjoyed the whole thing. But recently I borrowed this new Player 2 from a friend. And it kind of got me thinking, is it better value for money than a Parkcaster? Or can you build a guitar better than this for the same money? Um, a lot of people sort of talk about Parkcasters like a cheap guitar. It's a cheap way to do it. A lot of people go into them thinking that you're going to build a really good guitar for $500. I'm not so sure. I think the problem is you can't build a cheap guitar as good as Fender can. Fender are going to beat you to it every time. You can't build a Squire Classic vibe for the price Fender can. Um, Unless you're super lucky, marketplace is good in your area, and you can pick up lots of parts over a long amount of time. I don't think it would be worth it. For me, there's got to be a point where a Fender is better value or better for you, and uh, a Parkcaster is a better idea. I think if you're looking for a cheap guitar, go with the mass produced. Go with Fender or Squire or one of the other brands making these type of guitars. Uh, for me, what got me into the world of Parkcasters was trying to get custom shop level stuff for a decent price. By no means do I mean cheap. My Parkcasters aren't cheap. The the first one I did was this one, and this is a copy of a Fender La Cabronita. Now, at the time I did this, I think it was around 2010, maybe 2011. Fender didn't offer a La Cabronita unless you were buying custom shop, and I thought it was pretty cool because I loved Gretsch's at the time, so I thought it was a interesting way to do a combination. It's a pretty cool guitar. Now, this was a full custom order kit from MJT. Now, their stuff, it's always been fairly expensive. Um, it's a great guitar though. It's got TV Jones pickups. Look at that. Good timing. Hasn't been played for a while. Now, I didn't really know what I wanted when I ordered it, and I've learned a lot more about guitars. So there's probably a few things I'd do different. The neck, I'd probably go a slightly different profile. Definitely, I went with vintage frets, which I wouldn't these days. This could do with some new strings. So yeah, I got into Parkcasters because I wanted something that was only available at custom shop level. So from the get go, I sort of thought about these as an alternative to a custom shop. So it was by no means cheap. It was still cost probably a bit under 2,000 Australian dollars. Um, this was probably a fair bit less than that back in 2010. But in today's money, if you were to do it, it'd be about 2,000 Australian dollars. Um, so when you compare it to a custom shop, clearly that was a pretty affordable way to do it. The next one I wanted to do like a Stevie Ray Vaughan type thing. Didn't really in the end. All I ended up doing was getting the fattest neck possible, and I didn't like it. I thought I wanted to be the guy who liked fat necks, but had it for a couple of years and I just never played it. So um, I got this one. This guitar is a good example for another point. Another reason why I love Parkcasters is you can take your time. I bought this body, I think it was in about, I want to say 2016, and I didn't finish it until about 2018. So it sat around for a long time. I could accumulate parts and just slowly put it together. This one I just went with a pre-wired pick guard with Fender 57/62 pickups. And to me now that I got the neck on it that I like, it's the perfect Strat. I've never played a Strat that I like better. It's lightweight, sounds how I wanted it to sound, feels how I wanted it to feel, does all the Strat things. I like a Relic as well, so this is another MJT body. I think they do a really good job of Relics. Love them or hate them, I love them. Now the necks is a pretty big point. I think if you are going to try to build a Partscaster and save money, really research necks. I think necks make or break any guitar. So when I did the Le Cab, I didn't really know. I just ordered what kind of sounded cool and vintage spec, but that's not exactly what I wanted. Only after years of going to guitar stores and playing different guitars and looking up the specs of what I was actually playing, then I was able to know what I wanted when I'd order a neck. So now I can order a neck and know what I like. I know what it's going to feel like roughly when it gets here. So this neck and the next one I'll show you are from a place called Aurora Customs, I think. They've got an eBay store. I'll link it in the description. And I like what they do. I think these are just all part, or maybe Music Craft necks, and they put like a vintage finish on them. You can get tuners installed. They do the nut. But I like what they do. Do a very good job. But necks are everything. Necks, it's the first thing you touch. If you're gonna build one, spare no expense on the neck. Get a good quality neck. I mean, you can get some pretty good sounding cheap pickups. A body is a body. If you're into tone woods, there might be a little bit there, but the neck is everything. That's the one thing I'd say do not cheap out on. Get a neck you like, put heaps of hours of research into it. Get a good neck. The next one was this thing, Tele Thinline. Now when I started out buying parts for this, what I wanted was a traditional kind of blackguard Tele. Clearly not what I ended up with. Going through the MJT eBay store, I saw this with this pick guard and never seen anything like it, so plans changed. Again, this is a neck from Aurora Customs, and I pretty much got it to the same specs that the new Strat neck came. Pickups in this locally made here in Adelaide, JJ pickups. They're like a real sort of low output, early 50s. I love the middle on this. Smooth as. So yeah, just sort of searching around, this guitar ended up being something it was not meant to be, but I love it. It's ended up being one of my favorites. I play it an awful lot. It's a great guitar. You learn a lot putting them together. So this one, I ended up putting a shim in the neck pocket just to get the angle right. Actually had to do that on the Strat too. But yeah, you know, I didn't even know what a shim was before I started this thing. So you learn along the way, and learning the setup skills, it's not that difficult. You don't really need any crazy tools or anything. You can do a pretty basic setup with, you know, the Allen keys you get with your other guitars, and a screwdriver, and the soldering iron. I guess that's probably the most technical tool you need. I hate that part. I get everything pre-wired if I can. I hate soldering. I mean, for me, these guitars are pretty equivalent to custom shop levels. Obviously, they don't have the name on the headstock. I've got my own name put on these ones. But if you're comparing it to a custom shop, then yeah, they're a cheap guitar. But I think when people have done, obviously you can get good, cheap, you know, sub $500 Partscasters, but it's not going to be the same. It's for a different purpose. I think before you're doing it, you gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know why you're building the thing to begin with. To me, it's normally to imitate something custom shop. I more think of Partscasters as speccing out a custom shop guitar, buying not cheap parts, but over a long period of time, and putting them together and ending up with something pretty cool. A lot of people will buy Squier parts and slowly put together something custom with Squier or cheap Fender stuff. And to me, I don't think you can build a guitar as good as Fender can at the cheap prices. You can't build a classic vibe for the price of a classic vibe. Just buy the classic vibe. If you want to mod it, mod it. I don't actually have many real Fenders anymore because these Partscasters just kill anything you can buy, and I'm not buying custom shops. So I've had good ones. I had a really nice 2011 American Standard Telly, and that was a safe buy, but safe in a good way and a bad way. It was safe because it held its money relatively well. Partscasters don't hold their money. I mean, you can strip them, sell the parts, you're not going to get your money back. So it's got to be something that you really want. It's got to be really personal, and you got to plan to hold on to it. But Fenders are safe in a bad way too, I think. Especially the standard stuff is... I found my Telly just had no character. It was really bland sort of guitar to play. It was, you know, good, kind of good at everything, not great at anything. Great, perfect guitar in every other way. Would have kept a lot of people happy, but it didn't do anything that made me want to keep it. Get thumping. I can't have it in my hand and not play it. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is there's a point of diminishing returns with buying new guitars, especially Fenders. And I don't know exactly where it is. The new Player 2, Pro 2, they're all amazing. But you're getting something mass produced, very run of the mill. Hey, and if you're okay with that, that's fine. They're great guitars. There's nothing wrong with them. But there's a point where Fender, I think, can do more with your money than you can. And it's just finding where you're comfortable with that. To me, when you're getting into the custom shop range, I'm not spending 8,000 Australian dollars on a custom shop when I can build something like this for around 2. But if I was trying to build a new Player 2, I would buy a Fender Player 2. It's there's no way I could build something that good for that money. Tell me if you want to know more about my Partcasters. I love them. I'm going to keep doing them forever. I want to do it. I'll probably eventually do a blackguard telly like I originally wanted to. If you get anything out of this, it's learn necks. Necks are everything.